Hey guys, this is May to December again, and I just watched a movie from WWE Studios called The Marine 2, starring Ted DiBiase Jr. and Michael Rooker, and so I don't get his name wrong, Tamuro Morrison. Anyway, let's get into the story and I'll get into the characters and everything. So basically what happens is, at the beginning of the movie, there's two Marines at the top of a building watching a cargo getting unloaded outside a building, and a high profile target turns up and they decide whether or not to take the shot, and there's a boy behind them, and Ted DiBiase's character Joe Linwood basically goes shh to make him stay quiet, so the boy stays quiet, and basically they shoot the guy and grenades and bombs go off. This film seems to have this real obsession with explosions, and basically the boy dies, and it shows Joe running up to him to try and save him, and the other Marine going, he's dead, there's nothing you can do. And it shows him at the base, and basically he's on Skype or on a chat with his wife, and she says she's got this contract for this result and he can be her +1, and so he goes there with her, and it's set in, let's see, am I right? I think it's in Burmese, or is it somewhere. They're in a foreign country. You know, I don't think it's ever said. It's either Burmese or Thailand or something. It's one of those countries. And basically, he walks off after an argument, and about 75 men come, like freedom fighters, turn up with masks on, and they start shooting the place up. Now he's right between them, and this big massive rocket goes towards him and he ducks, and it carries on going, and it hits a building probably about 100 feet above him, which is a bit weird because he just ducked and it missed him. Then basically they shoot the place up, and they take his wife hostage. It's a lot like the Marine 1, except obviously a different setting and a Marine in the wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing. Because in the first one, obviously, they're going after a few people. We've got Kelly Carlson, you know, and that one starred John Cena. Ted DiBiase Jr. isn't a bad actor. He's a bit stiff, a bit wooden. There's some real silly scenes in the movie, which I kind of, be honest, made it a little bit lower than it could have been. The whole movie itself really said B-rate. It reminded me of like Steven Seagal's Jean-Claude Van Damme films, where they're alright, but they're very low grade compared to big, you know, movie productions. Tamuro Robinson, if I've got that right, he was fantastic as the freedom fighter leader, known as Damo. I liked him. I thought he would play it well. I remember the first film I ever saw him in was called Once We're Warriors, and I remember that film being really disturbing, and it was in 1994 it came out, if I'm correct. The film itself was awesome, and it really touches you, and it was when he was doing films in New Zealand. But anyway, so you've got Michael Rooker in it as an ex-army guy, and he's quite good in it. I think it's underused, and there's some scenes where you're like, this won't really happen, how did he get there, so forth, so beyond. I liked the film. I think it was fun. I actually enjoyed it more than the original. You know, because in the original, John Cena is like massive, and he's a big WWE wrestling star. As Ted DiBiase's kind of like more normal built, and I actually found him, even though he's a little bit more wooden than John Cena, I found him to be more fun. I mean, there's a scene where he's swimming in water with this big blue bag on his back, and you're like, how can they not see him in there? It's one of those films where it's illogical, but you have fun if you don't expect too much. It came out in 2009, and it was from WWE Studios, and it was the first ever sequel they did. Most of the films they released were like one-off kind of films, and this is the first sequel. And they made another sequel of To the Marine, starring The Miz, the wrestler from WWE, because I've noticed they like putting the wrestlers in the movies. But over time the movies would get better because they've released some films like Dead Man Down, which I haven't seen, and The Call, starring Halle Berry, which I heard is quite good. The film, I would recommend The Marine 2, because even though it's silly and even though it's a bit rubbish in some aspects, it's fun. Oh, and I almost forgot, the film itself plays out to me like an action game. Like, you know when you buy an action game and you hear good things about it, but then it turns out to be not so good and really disjointed and silly, and you're like, oh, it was fun, but it wasn't all I expected. That's exactly what this is exactly what the film reminds me of. There's a chase scene where he's jumping over things and running between things, like in the game, and you're like, why doesn't Damo just leave, or why doesn't the bad guy just stop? You know, a bit silly. But anyway, so The Marine 2, I recommend it to watch, and I think it's a real fun film, but I think it's one of those films that you have to kind of just enjoy for what it is. A kind of one of those movies which is like an 80s movie where there was no thinking really involved, but it was fun because it was an American Marine going in and killing people basically. So yeah, The Marine 2, starring Ted DiBiase, Michael Rooker and Tamura Morrison. Please subscribe. Thank you.